All right, so this is going to be a slightly more complicated tutorial. It's more involved. That is, it's not really complicated, but it's also exciting at the same time, because once you learn these principles here, you can apply them in the future, and it gives you a bit of an insight into how the actual architecture of SuiteCRM, which is amazing. So what we want to do is we want to customize the edit button that appears here. As you can see, we have here the edit and the remove button. I want it to show something else here. There's some concepts for you to digest, and the first one is going to be the host module and what I call the sub module. So the host module is going to be this whole module here. So this module is the one that is going to potentially host several different subpanels. In this case, it's a project. And the submodule is this here. So this, what you're seeing here, if you don't know this by now, it's a miniature list view of this module. So the stuff that you see here is actually like a miniaturized window, miniaturized list view of another module, what I call the submodule. So what we need to do here is we need to define inside the host module's metadata file what custom file should be used to display this submodule here, right? That's the first thing that we'll do, so let's jump right in. So as mentioned before, we're dealing with the host module here. So I want to go to that host module's definition file. In this case, it's going to be here. Oh, you know what? Okay, that's actually a bit of a mix-up here. The host module is this, it's UN inventory. So I'm going to go to the metadata file that defines stuff about this subpanel here. And this metadata file, where it's going to be located, is usually in custom, extension, modules, host module. So this whole module here, host module, extension, layout defs, and then the metadata definition. And I keep iterating this because it took me like several hours of getting stuck and then finally realizing what's where. So you'll see why it's super important. So when I open up this subpanel file here, what I have is a few definitions that I'll need to modify. When you initially open it up, this is going to be default. So we want to overwrite this. This is going to be for inventory. And as mentioned before, this file controls this subpanel here, or rather certain aspects of that subpanel. So what we want to do is we want to change the subpanel name. We want to put it for inventory, and then we want to create this for inventory file inside our submodule. So our submodule is called bike lockers. So what I'll do is I'll navigate to that bike lockers location, which is going to be this file here. And this file is in custom modules, submodule, metadata, subpanels. This file name here matches what you have here. So very important, matches it just has .php. Initially, obviously, you're not going to have that file. So what you'll do is you'll copy the default file content. So before, this used to be default. So we'll copy that, and default represents an actual PHP file. So we'll copy the contents of that file. And the contents of it are going to be in modules. So not custom, but just modules. Name of the submodule, metadata, subpanel, default. So I'm copying this stuff here and I'm putting it in my for inventory.php. So what we've done essentially is basically we told, okay, so hey system, for this subpanel, I want you to use a custom subpanel file. So when the system pulls up the subpanel, it's going to look at the initial definition of the metadata for this subpanel, and it's going to see that, oh hey, okay, so you know what, for this one, I shouldn't use the default one, I should use a custom one. So when we open up our for inventory.php file, here we'll see the actual culprit, which is the the guilty party here is the edit button. This is our target. This is what needs to be modified. So it's this guy here, right? We need to change him. So the way that this button is displayed is dictated by the widget class, right? So I told you this is pretty involved tutorial, and this is interesting because you'll be seeing widgets all over the place as you continue your development journey with the SuiteCRM. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to extend this custom, default widget, and modify it. So let's do it right now, actually. So the way that this is done is we go to the include generic sugar widgets, and let's find this widget here. So this widget is actually this button, just so we're on the same page. So sugar widget, it's always the prefix is always sugar widget. So sugar widget subpanel edit button, sugar widget subpanel edit button. So it's this definition here, which we're going to copy, and then we're going to make a copy of this file, and we're going to place the copy in custom include generic sugar widgets. Paste, and I'm going to give it a different name. So sugar widget, I want it to be, okay, so sugar widget button, I'm going to leave button, but I'll replace this. I want it to be Unassign bike lockers. Boom, widget is created. So it's going to take all of the parameters and definitions of the default button. So now we can modify it. First thing that you'll do always is change the class here. So if you don't change it, you're going to get an error. It's a common mistake. So what we'll do is we'll copy the name of the file. We'll put it here. And we're extending the default sugar widget class. So if something doesn't make sense in terms of one of the methods, this is the class that you should refer to. So this is the default set of properties and methods for this class, and in my case it's going to be customized. So in my specific case, if you're wondering, what I wanted to do is basically when we hover over this button here. So you know what? Let's finish with the demonstration first, and then we'll go deeper into the code. Okay, so we have this here, right? So class name, which was renamed to the file name, and now we can use actually this class inside our subpanel definition file. So if we go back to our definition file, you see here that the widget class is subpanel edit button. We want it to be something else. So what I like to do is I like to copy and then paste my stuff above, so like that I can go back and roll it back. Common mistake is copying the whole part here. You'll get an error. You always remove the sugar widget part first. So this is going to get appended. You remove it, right? And if you want to change the label, you can change the label. Right now we'll save. I know what, I'll update it. So it's going to be in also at the same time custom modules, name of the module, language, the name of the file. In this case it's English. I'm going to put this. Let's repair and see what happens. Okay, so the repair process is done. We're going to refresh. We're inside the host module, right? Bike, boom, the button is here, Unassign. So in my case, this is actually an interesting setup. You may find this useful for your coding needs as well. What I'm doing is I'm destroying the relationship between this module, the host module, and this record here. And the way that I do it is I look at the relationship name, but the relationship name, if it has like a _c at the end, it won't work. So I'm basically removing the _c from the end. And then I'm creating my custom URL, which in turn points to a custom entry point. And this custom entry point called the unassigner is going to destroy the relationship based on the request parameters that it gets. So it's going to see that the module is this, module record is this, other record is this, rel name is this, and this URL is going to go inside the actual button, and my entry point is registered in custom entry points unassigner, so custom entry points unassigner. And what it does, it just basically takes all of these parameters here, it instantiates the bean, then it does the destruction of the relationship, it destroys the relationship, and then it redirects the user back to the page that they came from. So we can see it here in action. I'm going to click Unassign. A little confirmation box comes up. It goes back, and then that bike locker unit has been unassigned. So thank you for sticking through with this video. As you can see, it's a bit long, but very interesting at the same time. If you found it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe, because more of these videos will be coming in the future. Thank you.